Okay, we're in the
I do want to let you guys know
space
that the
thing.
night sky we will be looking at today will be actually the Cape Girardeau night sky.
Cape Girardeau night
Everything
sky.
you see is what we can see from home. The next thing is that I do have a laser pointer. It's going to be a red dot that I use to point out things. So I'm just letting you know that I do have one. Other than that, I think that's it. So we're gonna wait for it to re-inflate. And as it re-inflates, I do want to point out that there are some letters in the corner of the planetarium. Does anybody know what those are?
Yeah, north, south, east, and west.
Yes, those are going to be our cardinal directions, north, south, east, and west. And those are important when we're talking about space, especially from Earth, so that we know which direction things are in, right?
Right.
Perfect. Okay. Does anybody know what this glowing orb in the center is?
A cloud.
It's not the moon. It's not a cloud. It's usually more bright than it is right now. It's the sun, yes. So which direction does the sun rise in? East, that's correct. And which direction does it set in? Perfect. So we're gonna watch the sun start to set in the west. And what happens when the sun starts to set?
It gets darker.
It's gonna get dark out, the stars are gonna come out. So it's gonna take a little bit, it's gonna start to turn a little orange because that's the last light that's being reflected. But as it gets darker, let's just see what happens, okay?
I don't know how good you can see this, folks, but there are stars up there whirling around.
Okay, so this is the night sky. Obviously you can see some stars. Do we see anything else right now? Dust. Okay, so if we look in the south over by this S, this cloudy bit, and it arcs all the way to the north. That is going to be the Milky Way galaxy. And that's the galaxy that we live in, right? So it's super cool. So if we look all the way at the top where the laser pointer is, we can count each star individually, right? With the Milky Way, there are so many stars shining so brightly that as that light passes through space dust, reflects off of planets, as it travels through space, it's actually going to look very cloudy, very dusty like it does up here, right? So there's so many stars in there that we can't even see them individually, which is super cool, isn't it? Does anybody know why it's called the Milky Way? It's kind of a silly answer. It's because it kind of looks like spilt milk, doesn't it? And that's literally why we call it the Milky Way, fun fact, because it looks like someone spilled milk in the night sky. Other than the Milky Way, we see stars. In the stars, do you see these shapes right now?
No.
Some circles. What if I add some lines?
Oh,
Do you see
there's
these
the
shapes now?
line. Yep.
Triangle.
Triangle. There's a house over here in the
They
north.
got the Big Dipper. It's hard to
Anything
see
else?
this, folks, but there's the Dipper, Big
A
Dipper,
square.
squares. Kids are in here too
Also,
with us.
each constellation has a
And it's
name
supposed to be a line too.
and a story.
There you go.
It's
Now she
cool,
lit
isn't
it
it?
up.
Yes, Hercules, yes. So the constellations we are looking at right now are going to be European constellations, mostly based off of Greek and Roman mythology. And if you're like young like me, you notice that we have Virgo and Libra, and those are our zodiac signs, right? We have
Yes,
Scorpio
Pegasus.
here, we have Sagittarius. So I think the ones that we see right now are the ones in the second half of the year. But I'm not 100% sure. I'm a Scorpio, so mine's right over here in the south. But each constellation has a story, and each story is tied to Greek mythology. And the one I do want to talk about one today, and I might butcher the story, so I don't know if I'm saying the exact story correctly or not, but we're going to look at Ursa Major and Ursa Minor over here. What animal is that? Bear. It's a bear. Does the bear look weird? Yeah. Why?
That's babies.
Everyone always says that. Their tails. It's supposed to be a long tail on both of them and not wings, but everyone always says it's wings. And I'm like, they do look like wings, don't they? So Ursa Major and Ursa Minor are very but bears on Earth don't have tails, right?
Right.
Or they have short tails.
Yeah.
So there's a Greek mythology, and I am going to butcher it, so I'm not 100% like correct on what it is. But basically, the Greek god Zeus was at war with these two bears, Ursa Major and Ursa Minor, and he took them by their tails and he swung them around and around and around until they flew off into the night sky and landed right here and right there. And now, is that a true story? No, it's just Greek mythology, right? Plus, all the bears we know have short tails, so there's no way that Zeus could have thrown them in
Well,
space.
now you hear some of the Greek
So,
mythology
while we do
stories
refer
and the
to some
stars and the constellations
by their
in
names,
the
so
sky.
Virgo, Libra,
I'm gonna
are our zodiac
get off
signs.
here and
Ursa
enjoy the
Major
rest of the
and
show
Ursa
with the
Minor
kids, you
are
guys.
actually commonly known
Bye-bye.
by different names. So I'm going to